potential causes of a massive oil leak. More than 126,000 gallons of spilled into local beaches. A Spirit Airlines flight in New Jersey had to be grounded right before takeoff after a large bird hit an engine that caused the fire. And a woman is facing charges after impersonating a member of the KKK, threatening her neighbors in a predominantly black neighborhood in metro Atlanta. We'll take a look at what's happening on the 210 next.
If you thought you missed the lowest mortgage rates in history, because they're back. Mortgage rates are near historic lows again. So if you have a mortgage, refinance it and forget it. You'll never have to worry about refinancing again. Network Capital Funding is offering a low 15-year fixed rate at 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Incredible! Network Capital has built a reputation for saving people time and money with our unique process that's simple and secure. Our 15-year fixed rate is 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Now, second chances don't come often, and you may never see these rates again. So refinance it and forget it. That's a 15-year fix at 1.75%. Yes, 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Call the experts at Network Capital now. Call 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1-HIT. As in home run. Call now and save big on your refi. 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1448. NLSID 11712. Not licensed in all states. Visit NLSID.org. Licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. And the financing law. Number 603-787. And equal opportunity lender. Rates subject to change and may not be available rate law. Discount point for your law. Subject to approval. Call 800-500-1448 for additional cost information.
From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, we make it easy. Crash on the 210 in Sylmar.
Eastbound before the Clay Street, that crash blocks the center lane. You're stopped from Hubbard. Downtown LA, the 110 northbound after 8th Street. Stall blocks the second lane from the left. You're stopped from the 10. Stall in Atwater Village as well. The 2 southbound before the 5. You drop to the shoulder. You're stopped to go from San Fernando Road. Looks like that's a group of motorcycles. And in Chino, the 60 westbound after Ramona, an SUV still on fire on the right shoulder. You have a break from Euclid Avenue. KFI and Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Dave Joseph.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. All too often, the media are ignoring the everyday heroics of our policemen and women. Well, that changes on News Nation. Dan Abrams and his live TV sidekick Stitch are back in prime time on Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 5 p.m. Pacific on News Nation. I went to pick up lunch. I'm carrying the bag out with me, and I got 2 steps from the door, and I pulled the mask off my ear. A middle-aged, thin, pretty-haired woman who sounded exactly like she was. You're supposed to wear a mask indoors. She had mask mag look and mask mag voice. Well, in fact, weekdays are too. There's a type that she wants to tell people what to do. Now on KFI.
Welcome back to the Rick Edelman Show. Well, don't you hate it when I'm late? Last week on the program, I warned you that volatility was going to rear its ugly head, and sure enough, on Monday, well, we saw what happened. The stock market fell dramatically. The stock market fell almost 2%. The Hong Kong index fell over 3%. Europe was down 2%. This was the worst day for U.S. stocks since May. What triggered this? Evergrande. You've never even heard of that company, have you? They're a real estate developer in China, and the stock fell 10% on Monday. Why would the fall of a stock in China have a repercussion on a global basis? Well, for one thing, it shows how connected our economy is on a global basis. The old joke that if China sneezes, the U.S. catches a cold, that the butterfly's wings overseas create a hurricane here. Well, that is increasingly the case. So one single company has a bad day, and it causes repercussions on a global scale. So what's the deal with Evergrande? Why did they fall 10% in value, and frankly, why does anybody care? Well, they're a real estate developer, but they're not just any real estate developer. They are perhaps the biggest real estate developer in China. And they owe massive amounts of money. Nearly a third of $1 trillion is the size of their debt. And according to the Financial Times this week, the company was financing that debt by selling bonds and other assets, other investment products, to retail investors in China. They sold over $6 billion worth of investments to 80,000 investors. And what did they do with that money? They didn't use all of it to build their business. They didn't even use all of it to pay interest on their loans. What they did with a lot of that money, according to the Financial Times, they gave the money to other investors. That sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. Evergrande is now down 88% so far this year. And considering the incredible importance of real estate development in China, just think about all the construction, just think about all the materials that the real estate industry in China uses, the supply and demand issue associated with lumber and all the other materials that go into building homes and other complexes in the massive new cities that China is creating. Well, if there's going to be a collapse of this real estate developer, that could portend a slowdown in the real estate sector in the entire country with massive implications for all the companies that supply materials to the real estate industry in China. And this is why everybody decided, oh my goodness, if this real estate developer is collapsing, this is bad news for everybody else, everywhere else. And so the stock market fell about 2% on Monday. But by Tuesday, everybody said, never mind, no big deal, that was yesterday, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. And all of a sudden, Evergrande seemed to be no big deal. And then you saw how the market has performed the entire rest of the week. In other words, it is what I told you last weekend, a return to volatility. We need to recognize that the stock market is typically volatile. Prices move up and down on a regular basis. We've enjoyed over the past year a pretty calm environment, not much volatility at all. But I don't want you to be lulled into a false sense of confidence into thinking that low volatility is normal. It's not. What we've experienced this week, that's normal. Or at least a little more normal than what we've had in the past several months. So, recognize it, understand it, accept it, don't get scared by it, and if you are feeling fearful, talk to your financial advisor about it, who can give you the guidance you need as to what you should do about it. The key that you want to avoid is reacting emotionally simply due to a daily headline. Now, having said all that, we do have to ask ourselves the question, what is the likelihood that the stock market's going to continue to do well? What are the threats that are out there that could cause the stock market to fall in value? Well, if the stock market were to fall in value, it would be because corporate profits are falling in value, or investors are expecting corporate profits to fall. What are one of the big reasons that might happen? Climate change. It's something we simply have to acknowledge could affect the financial market. The European Central Bank is creating a climate change action plan. The Bank of England warns of financial risks from climate change. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission published a 200-page report. The first sentence, quote, climate change poses a major risk to the stability of the U.S. financial system. There are three ways climate change could affect the economy. Number one are transition risks. We've got everybody getting all excited about electric cars. Well, that means we're transitioning from the internal combustion engine to electric vehicles. Well, companies that are polluters, companies that are making products that pollute, well, they're going to go out of business as other companies emerge that are more green in their operations. This transition risk could spell trouble for companies that are at the moment very well established, but which can't survive in a new green economy. So transition risk is one impact potentially on the economy. Another one are rising temperatures. The Financial Stability Board says economic losses from natural disasters back in the 1980s was $200 billion. Now, $1.6 trillion. This is because of the dramatic increase that we're experiencing in natural disasters, all as a result of rising temperatures. Those losses harm the economy. And related to that, the third way that climate change can affect the financial system, swings in asset prices. The Network for Greening the Financial System says financial losses comprise anywhere from 2% to 25% of the world's GDP. One study says there's $18 trillion worth of stock around the world $38 trillion worth of bonds and other debt, all linked to climate risk. Remember collateralized debt obligations, CDOs? Back in 2008, those CDOs were the cause of the downfall of the economic system during the credit crisis. Well, those CDOs comprised only $1 trillion worth of assets. Climate risk controls $56 trillion worth of assets. And this is why you're seeing more and more conversation from more and more governments around the world about coming to terms with the climate issues, because it's not only an environmental issue, it's not only a public health issue, it's a financial issue as well. So we need to pay attention to this and encourage adoption so that it is minimizing the disruption to our economy, to our lives, while also moving forward with protecting the planet. This is just an illustration of the kinds of issues that we are facing on a regular basis. You need to have your pulse on this. You need to make sure you're working with a financial advisor who has their pulse on this. And if you're not sure you are, if you're not sure your advisor is, give us a call here at Edelman Financial Engine. We're happy to help. 888-PLAN-RISK. You can visit us online at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. And coming up on the program, I'm going to be talking with you a little bit more about weather-related natural disasters and the impact on your homeowner's insurance. Every week I like to bring you some of the latest innovations in the field of exponential technology. There is a lot of movement in the world of electric vehicles. We're all looking forward to driving them. A lot of folks already are. One of the problems with them is that they're generally really expensive. They cost $80,000 or more. There are some that are much less expensive, and they're getting cheaper yet. Terra Motors is now taking orders for a solar-powered, three-wheeled electric vehicle, $25,000. Squad Mobility is taking orders too, a tiny two-seater. It's made for city driving. It goes up to 12 miles on a single charge, so don't go far from home. And it only travels up to 28 miles an hour. And when they say city driving, they really mean it. This car is so small, 4 of them can fit into a single parking space. And then there's California. Handy America has a model K27. It only costs $8,000 after subsidies. But China beats them all. It's introducing a new miniature electric vehicle for $4,200. You're listening to The Truth About Money. I'm Rick Edelman, 888-PLAN-RISK, rickedelman.com.
I'm David Caravello, live from the Kfi 24-hour newsroom. Officials held a press conference this afternoon discussing the latest updates on the oil spill affecting beaches in Orange County. Coast Guard spokesperson Rebecca Orr says a lot of assessment is still going on. Wildlife officials say that dead fish and birds have started to wash up on shore. They advise people not to touch any animals that they may be affected by the spill and to contact authorities immediately. The oil has already gotten into the Talbert marshland. Divers are on site looking at potential causes for the leak. Earlier today, the mayor of Huntington Beach said they believe the leak exceeds 126,000 gallons of oil. More than 700,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the U.S. Dr. Anthony Fauci says part of the death could not have been avoided, but many could have if people had been vaccinated.
64% having received at least one dose. But there are 70 million people who are eligible to be vaccinated who have not gotten vaccinated. So when you say some of those deaths avoidable, they certainly are.
COVID-19 vaccinations are free. Americans aged 65 or older and those with health issues who got the Pfizer vaccine are now able to get a third dose. At least 5 people have been killed in a bombing at a mosque in Afghanistan. The Taliban Interior Ministry says this is the first attack since the U.S. left Afghanistan. And former President Donald Trump really wants to tweet again.
Donald Trump's attorneys have filed a motion in Florida for a preliminary injunction against Twitter and its CEO Jack Dorsey to force this social media platform to restore his account. They were suspended following the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The motion claims Twitter is censoring Trump and violating his First Amendment rights. Twitter said it was concerned Trump could incite more violence if he continued to tweet. Trump had 89 million followers when the ban went into effect. He's also still suspended from YouTube and Facebook. News Team, KFI News.
I understand the struggle. I'm still waiting for the check mark on Twitter. So, on the 110 in downtown LA, north on F8th Street, that stall blocks the second lane from the left. You're stopped in the 10 and traffic heavy overall from Vernon. Fillmore, the 210 eastbound before McClay, crash blocks the center lane. You're still here from Hubbard Street. Got a stall in Atwater Village on the 2 southbound before the 5. Looks like this is actually a group of motorcyclists that are stopped in the center divider. You're stop and go from San Fernando Road. And as 4 goes through the Cajon Pass, the 15th southbound on the break between the State Branch and Plug Road. Can't on the sky up if you get past it. I'm Dave Joseph. Turns out you like this 1047
Kids, it's just a deal with the flashlight. What do you mean? Like on our billboards and on our trucks and stuff. That kid with the flashlight is me, Zach. Explain that to me. My dad was a big-time expert. So back when I was in grade school, he would always take me with him on repair calls at night. Maybe you hold the flashlight, too. Yeah, and he would always explain to me how he diagnosed the problem. That's a good dad, that's what that is. And then he would show me the right way to fix it, not the easy way. So that flashlight is a symbol, huh? That flashlight says an expert will always see the problem that the other guys can't see. That's why you make sure all out now you're expert. Yeah, and when you repair things the right way, not the easy way, your life that feels right. Always doing the right thing for the customer. That's what the flashlight means, Zach. Thanks for telling me, kid. Get it. C-O-E-P-P-L. We know our business, and we know it well.
This is former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by DuckDuckGo.
With Cardinals and Rams currently underway, early NFL winners are the Bills, Colts, Chiefs, Giants, Browns, and Cowboys. The Lakers are getting their preseason started today against the Brooklyn Nets. Clippers begin their preseason tomorrow. UCLA got no votes in the latest USA Today coaches poll after yesterday's loss to Arizona State. Alabama and Georgia remain 1-2. I'm Ricky Jones.
What is it that makes you uniquely you? Well, DuckDuckGo doesn't take like any of their business. And frankly, it shouldn't be the business of any tech company. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
Southland weather from Kfi. Tomorrow, on Monday, we'll see highs in the mid to upper 60s at the beaches, mid-70s for Metro LAOC, upper 70s for the valleys, and up to mid-80s for the Inland Empire. We lead local, live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Andrew Caravella.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I haven't paid my taxes in 8 years.
He was in big trouble.
We're going to take your house, furnish your pay.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm, and rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau.
Oh, yeah, you would. It was because of Optima Tax.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Give Optima Tax a call. They can help.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. Optima Tax Relief. For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Colleges and universities play an important role in preventing drug abuse among their students. Join the Drug Enforcement Administration and celebrate Red Ribbon Week from October 23rd through the 31st. You can plan education and prevention activities on your campus to help ensure the health and safety of our nation's college students. For more information on how you can celebrate Red Ribbon Week, visit www.campusdrugprevention.gov. Are you an overthinker? Hi, Rick Edelman here, host of the Rick Edelman Show right here every weekend. In 3 decades of serving folks like you here at Edelman Financial Engines, we've met a lot of folks who were trapped because they were overthinking their financial decisions. We get it. This can be scary stuff. You work really hard and you make a lot of sacrifices to save all your money. And well, just imagine if you make a mistake. Bad investment choices, the wrong mortgage, incorrect insurance coverage. It's enough to keep anyone awake at night. So here are 2 pieces of advice to help you solve the problem. First, realize that most decisions can be changed. And second, trust that you, it's free. You don't have to go it alone. Let us help you. You'll get our experience and our expertise. So call us at Edelman Financial Engine. With one decision, you don't have to overthink. Call us at 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's rickedelman.com. Welcome back to the Rick Edelman Show. I'm glad you're joining me right now for the segment because I'm happy to bring onto the program Michael Saylor, who's chairman and CEO of MicroStrategy. Michael is a graduate of MIT, degree in aeronautics and astronautics, as well as science, technology, and society. Michael, thanks so much for joining me on the program today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rick.
So before we get into the conversation at hand, which is Bitcoin, give us a quick description of what the business of MicroStrategy is. What do you folks do?
We sell enterprise software for business intelligence everywhere in the world to large enterprises. So our customers are agencies and corporations and banks, and they build custom applications to analyze their data.
What are the annual revenues of the business?
$500 million.
So it's a pretty big enterprise, and you've been running this company for more than 20 years, right?
Yeah, we came public in 98, so public company for 22 years or so.
So MicroStrategy, a very substantial business in the business intelligence software community on a global basis. You've gotten new levels of attention in the media over the past year because you've decided to take some of the cash reserves that you have at MicroStrategy and place it into Bitcoin. Tell us what.
A year ago, we had a $500 million enterprise software business growing 0% a year, and we had a $500 million treasury generating 0% yield. And we were looking out in March of 2020, and we're thinking it's going to be a really difficult business environment. It's very uncertain, and it's highly likely that $500 million treasury is not going to generate any more than 0%. Remember, the Fed said we're not even thinking about raising interest rates. And so our stock was in the tank. Our stock, went to almost like $9 a share. It was $120 a share. And we had like $50 a share in cash. So the company was, was valued at $60, and the cash was valued at $60. And when I talked to the investors, they said, well, we don't really value the cash, right? I mean, cash is a liability on the balance sheet, especially in a modern era. So we figured we either need to give the cash back to the shareholders, or we need to invest it in something. So we split the difference, and we did a little bit of both. We bought back our stock, and we bought Bitcoin. And when the dust settled, we ended up with $5 billion worth of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's been going up more than 100% a year for the past decade. And that success really energized our brand and our employees and our customers, and now our core business is growing 10%. So our $500 million P&L is growing 10%, our $5 billion balance sheet is more than 100%. And we feel like we're just much better situated for whatever is to come after having made that strategic move.
So not only do you have $5 billion worth of Bitcoin, not only did you take some of your cash reserves and place it into Bitcoin, you went out and borrowed money in order to buy more of Bitcoin. Talk about that.
Well, if you look at the macroeconomic environment, on the one hand, you have the Case-Shiller Index, which today says the average home price is up 18.7% year over year. So you have the money supply expanding, and then you have the bond yield really low. And so our view is you should go long high-quality assets, and you should go short the bottom. So in that sense, we went and we borrowed money. We were able to borrow $650 million at 75 basis points. And we borrowed $1.50 billion at 0% interest. And we borrowed another $500 million of senior secured notes at 6% and 8% interest. So all four, we borrowed $2.2 billion at one interest rate of like 1.5% interest. And then the only question is, do you ever use the proceeds? But Bitcoin's been going up 130% a year for a decade. So what could be a better use of proceeds than a non-sovereign digital store of value on the sovereign digital monetary network? So that's the trade we did, but why wouldn't you borrow money at 0% interest if someone wanted to loan it to you if you had a good idea for a business?
So, okay, I get it. The interest rates are zero, point nothing, and there's a lot of money sitting in cash, not earning anything, it's getting actually eroded due to inflation. So you want to put the money elsewhere. Of the entire universe of investment opportunities, you chose Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin as opposed to something else?
Well, we wanted something that's not a fiat currency derivative. So if you're investing in a value stock, and if the value stock value based on cash flows, and if the cash flows are being debased at 15% a year, so by the time you go on a decade, you know, we're at a 15% discount rate, the cash flows aren't really worth that much. So I just want to hold stocks that were based on cash flows, and, you know, and could I buy a bunch of real estate? It's not easy to buy a portfolio of real estate, but if they're commercial real estate, those are fiat derivatives. Because commercial real estate is valued based on risk, which are also capped at CPI. So I couldn't hold value stocks, I couldn't hold commercial real estate. Can I buy trophy assets? Well, I mean, where do I find trophy assets? Art, a $500 million portfolio of trophy art? I don't know, complicated. Gold? Ultimately, we boiled it down to we're going to buy $500 million worth of gold, or we're going to buy $500 million worth of crypto. And when we compared gold to crypto, we concluded that crypto is digital gold. It's a million times faster, smaller, stronger, harder. And then we looked at crypto and we sorted through all 6,000 cryptos, and the obvious answer is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is engineered to be a non-sovereign, digitally scarce, safe haven asset. That's the code, the protocol, the ethos. 150 million people have bought into that, and after 10,000 attacks, it's the last asset standing. So we bought the thing we thought was best engineered to be a non-currency derivative asset in an environment where we expect the currency to be continually debased.
So let me ask you two questions, kind of one question wrapped in together. First of all, is this something, I mean, you're a smart guy. I mean, you've been running MicroStrategy for 20 plus years, publicly traded company for 22. You're the CEO of the firm and chairman of the board, graduate of MIT. Your business is business intelligence software, so you're a very smart guy and you're surrounded by very smart people. And I get the decision making is made on the basis and the way in which you made that decision. But is this something for folks like you to be dealing with, or is this something that ordinary investors, the kind of people who are listening to us right now on this radio show, is this something for them to contemplate? And how do you address the volatility question that Bitcoin is surrounded with?
How you diversify your portfolio or alter the portfolio is probably a matter of personal preference if you're an individual.
That's Michael Saylor, the chairman and CEO of MicroStrategy, publicly traded stock, the symbol is MSTR, here on the Rick Edelman Show. Michael, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I wanted to bring Michael on the show for you because, well, you know, the subject of digital assets isn't entirely about hamsters. If you missed the segment earlier in the show, we talked about how somebody is using a hamster to determine whether or not they should be buying or selling Bitcoin and other digital assets. Well, this is no laughing matter. Michael Saylor has put $5 billion of his company's cash reserves into Bitcoin. He's got a pretty strong opinion about this. Is this something that I would recommend that you ought to do? Well, let me give you my take on this, which is reflective of the view we have here at Edelman Financial Engine. There is no question that digital assets is a separate independent asset class. There is no question that it is an emerging asset class. And emerging is code for risky. Anything that is new and emerging is relatively untested, unproven, uncertain, and although it's looking good and the opportunities seem to be there and the future looks bright, well, we've seen Bitcoin's performance over the past decade, 5 crashes so far, and it's pretty much widely expected that crash number 6 is at some point in somebody's future. So we need to keep all of this in check. Yes, riskier assets clearly have the opportunity for higher returns. That's the whole investment thesis, isn't it, on Wall Street? Risk and return tend to go together. High risk gives you high potential of returns, but also high potential for losses. So what's the approach that we recommend? Well, number one, don't invest until you have education. Make sure you know what it is you're doing. Number two, limit your investment to 1% of your portfolio. If it's 1% and it blows up, So what? That's not going to destroy your future retirement security. But if it goes well, as Michael is hoping that it will do for his company and has it historically done, a 1% exposure can have a meaningful impact on your total portfolio return. Number 3, prepare for volatility, because that, to date, has been Bitcoin's experience. And number 4, don't be surprised if it becomes worth it. If you're willing to go through those 4 steps, then you might want to talk to your financial advisor about whether digital assets are right for you. I'm Rick Edelman. You're listening to The Truth About Money. 888-PLAN-RICK. That's 888-742-6742. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's rickedelman.com.
From the KFI 24-hour newsroom, beach access has been closed from the Huntington Beach Pier to the Santa Ana River jetty due to a major oil spill in the area. The LA Rams are taking on the Cardinals today at SoFi Stadium. At halftime, the score is Cardinals 24, Rams 13. Both teams are undefeated in the NFC West. And Venom, Let There Be Carnage has become the top movie in theaters. The sequel has made over $90 million in its first weekend in North America. We'll take a look at traffic on the 91 next.
If you thought you missed the lowest mortgage rates in history, you're in luck, because they're back. Mortgage rates are near historic lows again. So if you have a mortgage, refinance it and forget it. You'll never have to worry about refinancing again. Network Capital Funding is offering a low 15-year fixed rate at 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Incredible! Network Capital has built a reputation for saving people time and money with our unique process that's fast, simple, and secure. Our 15-year fixed rate is 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Now, second chances don't come often, and you may never see these rates again. So, refinance it and forget it. That's a 15-year fix at 1.75%. Yes, 1.75% with a 1.94 APR. Call the experts at Network Capital now. Call 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1-HIT. As in home run. Call now and save big on your refi. 800-500-1-HIT. 800-500-1448. NMLS ID 11712. Not licensed in all states. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Licensed by the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation and the Financing Law. Number 603D787. An equal opportunity lender. Rates subject to change and may not be available rate law. Discount points may apply. Subject to credit approval. Call 800-500-1448 for additional cost information.
A crash has popped up on the 91 in Bellflower.
It's westbound at Bellflower Boulevard. That crash blocks the right lane. Your stop and go from the 605. Anaheim Hills, slow go on the 91 westbound between Imperial Highway and Lakeview Avenue. In Yucaipa, the 10 westbound between Live Oak Canyon Road and Yucaipa Boulevard. Stop and go traffic there due to a stalled big rig. That's been cleared from the right lane. And in Moreno Valley, the 215 northbound after Eucalyptus. An overturned vehicle blocks the right lane. Emergency crews are on the scene. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Dave Joseph.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. All too often, the media are ignoring the everyday heroics of our policemen and women. Well, that changes on News Nation. Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Sticks are back in prime time on Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 5 p.m. Pacific on News Nation.
Our country is challenged and strained by police and community discord. Now more than ever, law enforcement and the communities they serve must come together to collectively resolve and reconcile differences. Changes are needed. From October 8th through October 11th, National Faith in Blue Weekend will engage officers, community residents, and faith-based and community organizations to help build positive relationships, reduce officer-involved tragedies, and decrease crime. Please join the movement today by visiting faithinblue.org to learn more and sign up to host an event in your
I'm
community.
attorney Darren Kavanaugh from 1-800-NO-COP. Can you do the alphabet backwards? Z-Y-S-W-Z. Yeah, try doing that by the side of the road. So if you get pulled over, don't wing it. Call us at 1-800-NO-COP.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
Sunday on the Mo Kelly Show, we'll look forward into the week that awaits us and shed light on what you need to know. We'll laugh at the absurdity of the news and the key players in it. The best conversation with the best guests. And always on the Mo Kelly Show.
Mo Kelly.
Tonight at 6, KFI AM 640.
More stimulating cars.
Welcome back to the Rick Edelman Show. You know, we've been talking about the dynamic environment we have in the world of investing today and the different investment opportunities that exist. Never before has the need for you to work with a financial advisor been greater. I think that point was well made in our conversation with Michael Saylor a few minutes ago about these wacky new investment opportunities. When I say wacky, I mean newfangled, never before encountered, that are now available in the marketplace today, and new volatility in the stock market, and so on. So you need to hire a financial advisor. That's a given. Check that box. But there's a financial advisor, and then there's a financial advisor. And what's the difference between the two? A single word: fiduciary. Is your financial advisor a fiduciary or not? Fiduciary means, by law, your advisor is required to serve your best interests. They cannot give you a recommendation that doesn't serve you ahead of them. There are three kinds of advisors out there: stockbrokers, insurance agents, and registered investment advisors, RIAs. Stockbrokers are not required to adhere to the fiduciary status. Insurance agents are not required to adhere to the fiduciary status. Only RIAs, registered investment advisors, licensed under the SEC or their state regulator, are required to adhere to the fiduciary status. Of course, registration with the SEC doesn't imply any particular level of skill or knowledge. There have been efforts by the government to make all advisors everywhere follow the fiduciary status. This goes all the way back to the Obama administration. The rules that have been proposed by the Department of Labor have been attacked in law, have been attacked in the courts. Courts have rejected the regulations. New rules have been written. There have been delays issued because of industry response and resistance. Now, the fiduciary rule is supposed to take effect on December 20. So, it's only 2 months away. You would think that finally, all financial advisors dealing with retirement accounts, everywhere, whether they're a broker, an agent, or an advisor, are all going to adhere to the fiduciary status. Well, not so fast. A letter was just written to the Department of Labor. The letter is asking for a delay of a year for the implementation of the fiduciary rule. Who wrote the letter? It was signed by the securities industry and financial markets.